So the sound always kind of calms me down. I get asked a lot, how we did what we did, how we went from kind of relative obscurity to being most every place around central Indiana in such a short period of time. The answer to that is actually a lot longer than the time that I have allotted, so I'm going to try to stay focused on the relationship aspect that I'm supposed to talk about. But one of my favorite quotes is overnight sensation after years of dedication. So I got the opportunity to start brewing beer about 15 plus years ago. And I worked at Rock Bottom in downtown Indianapolis. I was a server, I was in the serving industry, and Rock Bottom's really important to the Sun King story because it's really the basis of when I started working in downtown Indianapolis. I wanted to work downtown because we had a convention business. We had a little bit more vibrant set of people coming in and out than if you were waiting tables in the suburbs. So I started working there, and after a few months, this guy named Tom, who was the brewer at the time, we would have beers after work because I worked during the days, and he'd sit at the end of the bar and have a beer. And one day he said, "Hey, have you ever thought about making beer for a living?" And I literally looked at him and I said, I didn't even know that it was a job that someone like me could have until I met you. And he was sitting there and he put his paper down and he said, "Well, you seem like a really smart guy. You've got a good head on your shoulders. You've got a great work ethic, and I think you'd actually be really good at brewing beer." And I got really excited about it. And he kind of smiled and he said, "Okay, before you say yes to this opportunity, you need to know a few things about brewing beer. It's hot, it's sweaty, it's sticky, and it's dirty. You're basically a glorified janitor, but at the end of the day, you get to sit back with a pint of beer that you made." And then he sipped his beer and he smiled and he goes, "It's delicious." So that was kind of the point when I was hooked. I actually got into a brewery, I started brewing beer, and I started working, and I started learning everything that I possibly could. So that was in 1999. Sun King, in 2008, I left my last job as a professional brewer, and went off to start Sun King. Some of the importances surrounding like what we've done and where we got to that go all the way back to there. Start with, in 2000, the Ram Restaurant and Brewery opened up down the street. And brewing is a really fantastic, congenial world. And so my partner Dave Colt was down there, and I would just go down and visit and have beers. And that relationship led to a later conversation that was, what would you do if you could open your own brewery? During that point in time, one of my dearest friends, Heather Hall, who's over here, who's our Vice President of Community Development, was the promotions director for WTTS. And so I would talk with her and hang out, and over a decade later, she had a chance for a hiatus, and she came in and started working for Sun King, and she really cares a lot about the community. And one of our core tenets as starting a brewery was our community and giving back to the people around us. And we had all of these different requests from organizations and these relationships that we had made with different people who, over the years, turned up at different organizations, community-minded places. And so Heather stepped in and started talking to and working with and creating these relationships to where today we work with over 300 community organizations in central Indiana to help support things from canned water to beer at events like this, to the ISO, to the IMA, to the IRT, to where if you go anywhere in Indianapolis and it has something to do with culture or community, odds are that Sun King is involved because we want to give back, and at the basis of that are these relationships that we formed over the years. It really, I often am a person who can be very hot, but I have a backside of me that knows that in any situation you need to represent yourself well, and you need to be kind to the people around you. And when you leave a situation, you don't want to burn bridges, and you want to make sure that the people that you work with understand that they're valued and that they're trusted and that they're cared for, and that you want to be a part of what they're doing, because you never know 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road, where you're going to end up, and when you might be in that position when you told someone to go F themselves, that you really need their help. So I think it's really important to pay attention to the people around you and be kind and conscious. I heard a thing the other day, I've got very little time, but I heard a thing the other day that somebody said to me, and they mentioned practicing gratitude, and I thought that it was really fantastic, and one of the things that has, I think, made Sun King work and spectacular is that we have a lot of gratitude for the people around us, the community that we're a part of, and the relationships that we're building. So we hope to, over the period of time that we have, to continue to grow and to continue to increase and improve our community through creating these relationships and supporting people and organizations. I got time.
Go.
Oh.
Keep talking.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
So I have this one slide because I don't do PowerPoints. It was down to like 2 minutes and 1 minute, and so I'm watching the time. I'm not very good with time. Those of you who know me know that I could go on for hours about just about anything. I do have a little bit more time. So when I start to look at what we did as far as outside of community development, as far as sales and placing ourselves in places, if you go back to rock bottom, when we started Sun King, I delivered all of the beer out of the back of my station wagon for the first 6 months. And I would do like 5 different jobs, and I would brew in the morning, and I'd run beer out in the afternoon. And it never failed that every single place that I went into at the very beginning, when I would walk in the back door, there would either be a person who was a host, a bartender, a server, somebody in the kitchen who would go, "Clay, wow, I haven't seen you since Rock Bottom," or "I haven't seen you since the Ram," or "I haven't seen you since Roscoe's Tacos," which was my first job out of college. And all of these people. And one of the things that I think is great, and when I look around in this room, I see a lot of familiar faces, I see a lot of new faces, but I see a lot of people who care about the community and the place around them. And Indianapolis has come so far in the last 5, 10, 15 years. I grew up here, and so the care and the passionate nature of the people around it is great. And we often talked about Indianapolis being the small town of big cities, and it really truly is that, because it has that feel where if you get involved and you create these relationships and you want to be part of anything, you have that opportunity. You have people that are around and support you. And I guess kind of the end result of the things that I believe and feel about relationships and business and life in general, that is, if you are genuine and passionate and honest with any endeavor that you do and move forward boldly in a manner that you cannot fail, you will not fail, and you can make the world a better place, and you can do something that you love that actually matters. So I'm done with that. I want to talk to Molly now.
Thank you.
Going to that chair.
I'm sorry I threw you off there.
Oh, you did. Well, the timer threw me off. It does little things, and it's got lights and blinkies.
All right, the most popular question I've seen all day. Outside of your beer, what is your favorite local brew?
Outside of my beer, what is our favorite local brew? So the thing about beer is that there are so many different types and styles. So honestly, picking favorites is really difficult for me, because if you were to ask me what my favorite beer is, I mean, Osiris is my general answer, because it's a beer we design and brew because it's what we want to drink. But it depends on the day. Mm-hmm. So I think that we have a lot of great breweries. The fact that since Sun King started, we were the 32nd brewery. There are now 96 breweries, so we've more than tripled our breweries, and you can go around to all of these different places. And the other cool thing is that everyone makes beer, but they do it completely differently. Yeah. So, last night I was at Chili Water, and they had some fantastic beer, and it's a great thing that's happening in Fletcher Place. So last night my favorite beer was Chili Water's IPA. Today, my favorite beer is probably going to be Captain Sparkles, because we're tapping it this evening.
Nice.
And it's going to be delicious. But
okay, all right, that's good to know. All right, here's another really popular one. Well, these are just flying off the handle. What is, see, you talked, and I didn't get this out. What has been the most important personality trait that has aided you as an entrepreneur?
I would say, I mean, I'm generally not afraid to put myself out there. Mm-hmm. So put myself out there, speak my mind. So I would say maybe my openness, positive attitude, and drive. Yeah. If those are a trait.
Last question, maybe not the last question, but do you get pressure to change your logo because of its complexity?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. We continue to make updates and changes and different things. I've had people tell me for 5 years that our branding is too busy. However, it really seems to be working. We actually now have 2 people in our art department. One likes to go really complex, the other one goes simple. And one of the things that's my favorite thing about Sun King is that we never rest on our laurels. So actually, that's an older version of our logo. There's some things that have been cleaned up. on it since that came out, and it continues to grow and change. And I guess it's complex, but it allows us the ability to kind of do different things that we want. So if you look at our branding, it's really all over the board, and we'll do whatever we need to do.
And remind a lot of folks in the audience what the story behind the Sun King moniker
So the logo itself is actually, when we were starting the brewery, my wife and I traveled through the Southwest with my parents. My partner Dave came up with the Sun King because the sun is at the center of our solar system and gives life to all things that we love and everything that makes beer. And when we were traveling, everywhere I went was the Mayan calendar. And so I would see this Mayan calendar, and the imagery was beautiful. And our artist, Shane, I met with him. I didn't have any money. And I said, Shane, I need a logo for this brewery, and I can't pay you probably for 6 months. But can you do something? And I keep seeing this Mayan calendar. The name of the brewery is Sun King. And if you pull the words off, the barley, water, hops, and yeast, so the 4 main elements of beer are all kind of wrapped up in it. And the reason that we even started Sun King was that we wanted to make as many seasonal and specialty beers as we possibly could, because brewing at corporate pubs, you had to make 6 beers and didn't get to make new fun stuff. So it's about new fun stuff.
It's about new fun stuff all the time. All
Yes.
right. Thank you, Clay,
You're welcome.
so much. All right.